A wealthy man in a tailored suit steps out of a luxury car and laughs cruelly at a poor old man trying to earn a living by shining shoes. "You think those dirty hands of yours will ever touch my shoes?" he sneers. What he didn't know was that life has a way of humbling even the proudest. Rude rich man mocks poor shoeshiner. Years later, the tables turn in an unbelievable way. It was a crisp fall morning in the heart of downtown Seattle. Office workers bustled past the busy square, coffee in one hand, phones in the other, heads bowed in their daily grind. Among them sat a quiet, elderly man near the marble steps of Halsted Tower, the city's most prestigious office complex. His name was Mr. Arthur Bell, and though time had weathered his features, his back remained straight, and his hands moved with the practiced grace of a man who had spent decades mastering one humble trade. Shining shoes. Each morning, Arthur would lay out his small wooden kit. A worn brush, a tattered rag, a tin of black polish, and a folded towel were all he needed. His sign, written in careful block letters, read, "Shoe Shine, $3, honest work for an honest day." Most people ignored him. Some dropped a dollar or two out of guilt or pity. Others gave him tight-lipped smiles and hurried on. But Arthur never begged. He offered a service, not charity. That's how he was raised. Then one morning, the silence of his work was interrupted by the sharp click of Italian leather shoe, a sleek black. Mercedes had just pulled up. Out stepped a tall man in an expensive suit, gold cufflinks gleaming. His name was Zachary Holt, a self-made millionaire who owned a tech startup that had exploded overnight. With cold blue eyes and a jaw carved in arrogance, Zachary walked like the world owed him something. Arthur looked up and gently offered, "Good morning, sir. Shine today." Zachary paused, looking the old man up and down. He scoffed loudly, "Shine my shoes? With those hands? Are you serious? Look at yourself. How pathetic can you be?" People around turned to stare. Arthur, ever calm, simply nodded. "It's honest work, sir." Zachary laughed even louder. "Honest? You're sitting on the sidewalk like a beggar. Get a real job, old man." Arthur, with a quiet dignity, said nothing more. Zachary shook his head in disgust, muttered waste of space, and strode into the tower. That moment would have been forgotten by most, but not by Arthur, and not by someone watching from the third floor of Halsted Tower. The city had changed. Skyscrapers climbed higher. The startup scene exploded. And Arthur? He still sat by the tower. Only now his hair was completely white and his hands trembled slightly as he worked. But he never missed a day. And Zachary? Life had not been so kind. After a string of bad investments, lawsuits, and one too many enemies made in boardrooms, his empire collapsed. Overnight, his accounts were frozen, and his name became toxic in tech circles. The media called it the fastest fall from grace in recent history. Broken, desperate, Zachary wandered the streets of the same city he once ruled. One gray morning, rain spitting from the sky, Zachary found himself on the same marble steps of Halsted Tower, now just another man in a frayed coat. He hadn't eaten in a day. His shoes were cracked and filthy. And that's when he saw him, Arthur. The old man hadn't changed much, still upright, still working. Zachary hesitated, his pride bruised, before stepping forward. "Shoe shine?" Arthur offered gently, not a flicker of recognition in his eyes. Zachary nodded, unable to meet his gaze. Arthur bent down and began to polish his shoes, his movements slow but sure. Zachary finally whispered, "Do you remember me?" Arthur paused. "No, sir, but I try to treat everyone the same." Something in those words pierced Zachary. The shame of what he had done washed over him. Tears threatened to fall. Arthur continued, finishing with a soft cloth. "That'll be $3. Zachary reached into his pocket only to realize he had nothing. I don't have it." Arthur looked at him and smiled warmly. "That's all right. Sometimes a good word is worth more. Stay strong, young man." Zachary nodded slowly, overwhelmed. "Thank you." That moment lit a fire in Zachary he hadn't felt in years. 2 years later, Zachary started over. With a borrowed laptop at the public library, he began freelancing. He coded, consulted, and slowly rebuilt. But this time, he did it differently, humbly, with patience. He remembered Arthur's kindness every step of the way. He launched a new startup focused on helping struggling small businesses access technology and support. It grew. Investors returned. This time, Zachary led with values, not ego. And on the day his company hit its first $1 million milestone, he knew exactly where he wanted to go. Back to Halstead Tower. It was a bright spring day when a new black car pulled up in front of the building. Out stepped Zachary, clean, well-dressed, but no longer arrogant. In his hands was a brand new wooden shoe shine kit, crafted beautifully with Arthur's name engraved in gold. But Arthur wasn't there. Nearby vendor told him he doesn't come anymore, retired last winter. Zachary felt a pang of urgency. Do you know where he lives? The vendor nodded and gave directions. Arthur lived in a small apartment on the east side of the city. When Zachary knocked, a frail voice answered. Arthur opened the door, his eyes squinting. Can I help you? Zachary smiled. I doubt you remember me, but I never forgot you. I was the rude man in the suit who mocked you years ago. You didn't recognize me when I was broken, and you helped me anyway. Arthur blinked slowly. I remember those shoes. They both laughed. Zachary handed him the wooden kit. I want to offer you something more, a full-time position in my company, training young people in discipline, humility, and craftsmanship. I want them to learn from the best. Arthur's eyes welled up. I'm just a shoe shiner, he whispered. No, sir, Zachary said firmly. You're the man who saved me. Arthur took the job. Every week he trained young interns in soft skills, patience, and pride in every task, no matter how small. A plaque hung in the company lobby, inspired by Arthur Bell, a man of grace, grit, and greatness. Zachary never let the world forget who helped him when no one else would. And Arthur? He never shined another shoe on a street corner again, but he did teach a generation how to polish their character. Moral of the story: never mock someone doing honest work. The person you look down on today may be the one who lifts you up tomorrow.